Once, the name Alistair Overeem sent chills through the combat sports world. He was not just a heavyweight, he was a juggernaut, a towering figure with a physique sculpted like granite and strikes that could break bones. His fists delivered devastation, his knees crumpled opponents, and his presence alone was a spectacle of raw power. He rose to legendary status, claiming titles in K1, Strikeforce, and Dream, while leaving a trail of destruction in Pride and later the UFC. Yet, glory is a fleeting shadow. Beneath the chiseled muscles and earth-shaking knockouts lurked whispers of controversy, crushing defeats, and a tarnished reputation. Now, at 44, Alistair Overeem's life is a far cry from the roaring arenas. His fighting career has ended, his once mythical body has withered, and his name, once synonymous with dominance, now echoes as a somber reminder of a warrior who soared too high, only to crash into obscurity. In the early 2000s, Alistair Overeem was a promising but unremarkable fighter, a lean light heavyweight competing in Japan's Pride FC. He possessed undeniable skill, long limbs, precise submissions, and vicious knees, but he was one of many European hopefuls vying for greatness. Around 2007, everything changed. Transitioning to the heavyweight division, Overeem underwent a transformation that seemed almost supernatural. His body swelled dramatically, his shoulders widened, his arms grew massive, and his neck thickened to an imposing degree. This was no longer the wiry Dutchman of his early career. This was a beast, dubbed Uber by an awestruck fan base. What followed was a reign of terror that reshaped combat sports. In K1 kickboxing, he defied expectations by not just competing with the world's elite strikers, but obliterating them. In 2010, he claimed the K1 World Grand Prix title, dismantling Tyrone Spong, Gokhan Saki, and Peter Aerts in a single night. His strikes were cataclysmic, his victories not just wins but statements of supremacy. In Strikeforce, he captured the heavyweight championship, overpowering Brett Rogers with ease and outmatching Fabricio Werdum. In Japan's Dream promotion, he secured another title, cementing his status as a global force. Holding championships in both MMA and kickboxing was a rare feat, but Overeem made it seem inevitable. By 2011, when he signed with the UFC, the hype was overwhelming. He was not just a contender, he was the most feared heavyweight alive. His debut against Brock Lesnar was billed as a clash of monsters. Overeem delivered a brutal liver kick that sent the former WWE star and UFC champion collapsing in agony. A swift and violent proclamation of his arrival, but at the zenith of his ascent, cracks began to form. His physique, impossibly massive and defined, raised eyebrows. Whispers of unnatural enhancement grew louder. In 2012, just before a highly anticipated title fight against Junior Dos Santos, the truth erupted. A random drug test by the Nevada State Athletic Commission revealed a testosterone to epitestosterone ratio of 14:1, far exceeding normal human levels. The MMA world was rocked, the fight was cancelled, and Overeem was handed a 9-month suspension. His defense of an innocent injection from a doctor rang hollow to most. Fans who once revered him turned scornful, fighters mocked him, and UFC President Dana White expressed public outrage. The nickname Uber became a cruel jab. When he returned, his body was noticeably different. The bulging muscles had softened, his frame leaner and less imposing. The change was stark, and his performances reflected it. The unstoppable predator was gone, replaced by a skilled but vulnerable fighter. Overeem became a symbol of MMA's transition from a loosely regulated era to one of rigorous testing, a fallen icon whose invincibility was tied to a tainted past. The years that followed were a brutal descent. In 2013, Overeem faced Antonio Bigfoot Silva. He dominated early, landing punishing knees and punches. But in the third round, Silva unleashed a barrage that shattered Overeem's jaw, leaving him slumped unconscious against the cage. The image became a viral emblem of his fall. Against Travis Brown, he started strong, pummeling his opponent with body shots, only to be floored by a front kick to the face and finished with hammer fists. In 2017, Francis Ngannou delivered a catastrophic uppercut that snapped Overeem's head back, his body stiffening as he crashed to the canvas. The knockout was not just a loss. It was a horrifying spectacle that redefined his career. These defeats were not mere setbacks. They were brutal, highlight reel knockouts that raised concerns about his durability and safety. Once a terror, he was now a target, a gatekeeper for younger fighters to exploit. Fans no longer feared him. They pitied him, questioning how much more his body and mind could endure. In 2016, Overeem earned a shot at the UFC heavyweight title against Stipe Miocic at UFC 203. For a fleeting moment, it seemed redemption was within reach. Early in the fight, he nearly submitted Miocic with a guillotine choke, but the champion escaped and knocked him out. In the post-fight interview, Overeem claimed Miocic had tapped out, a claim instantly disproved by replay. The crowd jeered, commentators recoiled, and Dana White publicly branded him a liar. The loss was not just a defeat. It was a moment of public humiliation that erased his chance at UFC gold forever. The division moved on, and Overeem was left behind, a relic of unfulfilled potential. His physique, once the cornerstone of his identity, became his curse. As drug testing tightened, his body transformed. The hulking frame that defined his prime shrank, replaced by a leaner, more human form. Fans took notice, mocking him with the term econoreem and sharing side-by-side images that highlighted his diminished stature. His fighting style shifted too, from relentless aggression to cautious point fighting. He secured some decision wins, but the ferocity that once made him a legend was gone. The image that propelled him to fame now fueled debates about his legitimacy, with many questioning whether his greatest achievements were built on artificial foundations. Despite his efforts to prove himself clean, the visual transformation made his past impossible to escape. Overeem's UFC career ended quietly in February 2021 against Alexander Volkov. The fight was not a marquee event, but a test of whether he had anything left. Volkov dismantled him, picking apart a sluggish and hesitant Overeem until a TKO ended the ordeal. The loss was somber, the commentary subdued. There was no retirement announcement, no tribute from the UFC, no acknowledgement of his decades in the sport. He was quietly released, removed from the rankings, and forgotten. A fighter who had headlined events, fought legends, and delivered iconic finishes was discarded without ceremony, his exit barely registering with fans or media. Seeking a final chapter, Overeem signed with Glory Kickboxing in 2021, returning to the sport where he first made his name. In October 2022, he faced Badr Hari, a longtime rival, in a rematch steeped in history. The fight was a grueling, emotional battle, with Overeem dropping Hari twice in the final round to secure a decision victory. Tears streamed down his face as the crowd roared, a moment that felt like redemption. But weeks later, a failed drug test overturned the win to a no contest. Glory issued a curt statement and parted ways with him. The comeback that could have rewritten his story became his final disgrace, erasing the respect he had briefly reclaimed. In 2023, A new Alistair Overeem emerged, not in the ring but in quiet corners of the internet, obscure podcasts and Christian radio shows. He spoke of faith, repentance, and the emptiness of his past pursuits. He admitted to an addiction to victory, chasing money and fame that left him hollow. He revealed battles with depression and a loss of identity after leaving the UFC, saying fighting had been his entire world. Now, he lives quietly in the Netherlands with his children, far from the spotlight. He no longer trains, turning down offers to coach or appear at UFC events. Some fans see his transformation as inspiring, a warrior finding solace in faith. Others see it as a lonely epilogue, a man abandoned by the sport he devoted his life to. At 44, Alistair Overeem is no longer a fighter. The arenas are silent, the crowds long gone. He lives modestly outside Amsterdam, financially secure, but far from the lavish lifestyle of his prime. His face, weathered by countless battles, tells a story of sacrifice. His body, once a cartoonish marvel, now resembles that of a retired laborer, divorced and largely solitary towards his children. The sport offers no tributes, no documentaries, no Hall of Fame recognition. A man who fought 67 times, claimed titles across continents, and redefined what a heavyweight could be, is now a ghost in the world he helped build. His story is not one of triumph or redemption, but of a titan who burned brightly, only to fade into silence, his legacy drowned out by the sport's relentless forward march.